guys, it's Miss Ahmad and I'm here with your video lesson for English for week 3. Our unit is called Defining Moments this week, and the poem we're reading is called The Lanyard by Billy Collins. In the poem, the author is triggered by something he sees in a dictionary that reminds him of a defining moment in his life when he gave his mother the lanyard he made. So in Schoology, I had told you to do step 1 was to look up the vocabulary words. Step 2, read the poem. Step 3, come to this video, right? So just in case some people skipped right to step 3, let's do this together. So vocabulary, ricocheting. In the context of the poem, it means bouncing off. Like he talks about how he's bouncing off the blue walls. Bouncing from the piano to the typewriter, and we're kind of all doing that too at home, right? We're in isolation and we're ricocheting from the couch to the refrigerator to the TV, looking at the TV screen to looking at our phone screen, and back and forth, right? So it's kind of relatable. Adirondack, that is actually a clue as to the setting. Because it is a mountain range in upstate New York, which I'm from New York and I'm familiar with the Adirondacks. They're very beautiful. That is where the author went to camp, where he made the lanyard, in the Adirondacks. And then we have a lanyard itself. So that brings us to number 2. What's a lanyard anyway? All right. So if you are not a crafty person, you might not know what he's even talking about. A lanyard starts out with these like plastic laces, and you weave them together like this. So you just keep going like this, keep weaving it, and eventually you're gonna have a lanyard with a pattern. And you can give it to someone like he did in the poem. He gave his lanyard to his mom to show that his appreciation for her, that he was thinking of her. And that's really what this week's unit is all about. What kind of gift we can give and what kind of impact that gift will have on the person we give it to. I'm going to keep making this staircase. And you get a lanyard like this with a pattern. I made a Chinese staircase one right here. The author, I think, made a box one. That's a little more complicated. I'm not good at those, so I didn't make one of those. So this is like what he gave his mom. Some people use this, will use lanyards as bracelets or keychains or something to hang off your zipper of your backpack. But this is what he gave his mom. In the poem, this is what it would look like, something like this. Okay. So in Schoology, there is a discussion where you're going to respond to 2 questions. Okay, Schoology discussion response. What do you think the main idea of the poem is? That's the first thing you're going to respond to. And the second one is, what does this poem remind you of? And I'm going to go first. I'm going to tell you what the poem reminded me of when I read it. So the way that he was talking about how he'd made this lanyard as a gift for his mom, and how, you know, his mom does so much, has given him so much, and all he could do is give this simple lanyard, right? But how he made this from his hands and he thought of her, that reminded me of when I was growing up. A lot of my friends were of Chinese and Korean descent, and so we made origami stars out of paper, and we folded them. And so I'll show you how we did it, but they taught me how to do this. My friends taught me. So you take this little star paper and you fold it. It's like you start with a loop and then you fold it over, and you just keep folding it over until you run out of paper, and then you tuck it in and you pinch. It's easier if you have fingernails to pinch with. You just kind of pinch the corners and it just becomes three-dimensional, and it becomes an origami star. I mean, it's not perfect, but you know, I'm out of practice. So there you go, there's an origami star right there. I have another one in here too. Here's a pink one. Okay, so what we would do with these little stars would be to put them in jars like this. I'm gonna show you a picture. So we would put them in jars and we would give them to people as gifts. And my friend Emily, I used to go to her house, and she had an older sister named Holly, and Holly's boyfriend Jimmy would make so many jars of stars for her, for Holly. And so every time I went to their house, it was like, look at this new jar of stars that Jimmy made. And it was so sweet, honestly, because the significance of what this means when you give it to someone is that each star that you make is a wish that you're making for that person. You're wishing them well, you're putting your positive thoughts into it. And so when you give them this jar of stars, it's like, here's this jar of wishes I made for you, like for you to be happy and healthy and well and have a good life. So I loved that. I love that you can just put your heart and your time into something that you make with your hands, and then you give it to them, and it's unique, you know. And so the impact I think it had on people, like I used to give these to my friends, my family, especially on birthdays, and I also gave one to my mom for her birthday. And so that's what it reminded me of when he gave this to his mom. It reminded me of when I gave this jar of stars to my mom, and how it represented a jar full of wishes for you to be happy and healthy and have a good birthday, have a good year. So that's what it reminded me of. And so that's what I would write for my Schoology discussion post if I were in the class. So I want you guys to think about, what does this poem remind you of? Think about your life, your memories, your childhood. Try to find a connection somewhere where you relate to this writer and with this defining moment of his. So tell me, what does it remind you of? So you're going to write your answer for what is the main idea, and then what does it remind you of, and you're going to post those in the Schoology discussion, okay? Oh, it's upside down. And then when you're done posting in the Schoology discussion, you're going to go to our Flipgrid. So I actually, in my other Flipgrid video, I said this was the code. I changed the code to make it a little bit easier. So now it's just a simple code that you go to its Lanyard 12. So if you already have the Flipgrid app, you can just put in the code Lanyard 12. If you don't, you can just click on the link that's in Schoology and it'll take you to our Flipgrid. And I'm going to have a video on the Flipgrid that explains this Flipgrid project that we're going to do. And yeah, jump on there and you'll see me over there in a video on the Flipgrid.